Hello everybody and welcome back to the office. My desk is going up because we've got some important news to talk about. It is currently 9 o'clock in the morning, 18 degrees in the office, so it's nice and cool in here right now. It is Saturday. No car boots for me this weekend. Johnny's actually off doing a dance competition, I think, up in Blackpool. I believe it's one of the big ones of the year or something. I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't really know much about what he does. To be honest, I just hear about all the times he wins. So yeah, a little look down the high street. Obviously it's Saturday, so it's quite quiet. Wasn't actually planning on doing a video today. However, some good news from eBay for once. I've logged onto my eBay and one of those little banners at the top, you know, that show up and they say updates to terms and conditions or whatever, and something caught my eye. Something that said introducing automatic positive feedback, and I thought, oh my god, I've been asking for this for years. This is going to be game changer. Surely not. eBay, like, you're only like 5 years behind everyone else on this, but surely that can't be the case, right? So I clicked on it and it says, starting at the end of April, UK sellers will benefit from automated positive feedback for eligible transactions. This will ensure you get the recognition you deserve for successful sales, enhancing your feedback. So let me tell you, I get about 25% of my sales end with a positive or a negative review. Obviously negative reviews nowhere near 25%. It's like maybe 10 a year or something like that out of 2,000 sales. But there is also, like, I'm only getting 800 positives a year, or 900 positives a year out of however many it be, 2,500, something like that. So it's like 30%, 25, 30% end with a review of some sort, whether that be positive or negative. So this means my positive rating technically should go up by about 60% on top, because the other 60% or whatever it is that aren't bothering to leave a feedback, they're going to leave a feedback now, whether they like it or not, which is interesting. Now, some people may think, oh, isn't that just going to encourage people to leave their negative review more? I don't think so. I don't think they care. If they're someone that wasn't going to leave a positive or a negative before, they're not going to do it now. It's just going to do it for them, and this is great. So moving on, it says what's changing. Introducing automated positive feedback. We know that the vast majority of transactions happen without incident. True. With sellers consistently providing great service, however, in the past your excellent service might not have been acknowledged. Okay, moving on. That bit's a bit boring. Starting at the end of April, UK sellers will automatically receive positive feedback for orders that use a tracked service. I do that on all my parcels. Arrived on time, so obviously it comes down to the courier. Now, I don't know what their metric for arriving on time is. Is that the arbitrary date that they give when something sells? Because that's usually off by a few days. So that will be interesting, but most of mine will probably fall into arrived on time anyway and have no buyer issues. The automated positive feedback will contribute to your feedback score and positive rating percent, which is great because that means you're, I don't know, if you're on like 96, 98%, it's really hard to get that back up. If you've had a bad year, let's say last year I had a really terrible year with negatives, like they just kept rolling in for stupid silly little stuff, and it really affected, like I was always on 99.9, 100%, and then last year it took me all the way down to like 96 because out of nowhere I ended up with, I think at one point, 18 negatives on my 12-month. It's now down to 12, so they are slowly falling off. But yeah, I just had a really bad like 3 months. Like I just couldn't seem to keep my head above water when it came to negatives. But this is really going to help because that's obviously your percentage is going to fly up of positives, and that's really going to help that. So if you've ever struggled with a bad year when it comes with negatives, because obviously they last for 12 months, they don't fall off for 12 months, so this is really going to help. So it says the automated positive feedback will contribute to your positive rating percentage and will display with the message order completed successfully, tracked and on time. So it's not even going to be like a Vinted one. On Vinted it says like automated system feedback or something. This isn't even going to say anything like that. It's literally just going to say the order was completed successfully and tracked and on time. And this is the best part. You may be thinking, oh, it's like, you know, they're going to wait 30 days or whatever. Nope. Automatic positive feedback will be added to your feedback profile 7 days after tracking confirms successful delivery, providing the following criteria met. So it's not 30 days, it's 7, which is great, because I don't know whether they're going to be able to correct this after the fact. I'm sure they will. If they want to leave a negative, they probably will be able to override this, but maybe not. I haven't read all the way to the bottom yet. Tracking shows the item was delivered on time. Okay, the buyer hasn't left feedback yet. That's obviously right. The buyer hasn't reported an issue with their order. There is a bit here about private sellers. I've not read this yet, so we're going to go through this together. For private sellers, we're introducing simple delivery, a streamlined delivery method with tracking to help you qualify for automatic positive feedback. This feedback will remain unless the buyer reports a negative experience. There you go. So they can override it, which is interesting, because you would think after 7 days any problems would have come up, but obviously they have 30-day return. Something can happen later on, I suppose, such as opening a return request, reporting non-receipt, or cancelling the order. Not sure why cancelling an order would be an option, because if they've purchased it and they've received it, they shouldn't be able to cancel the order after 7 days of receiving it. That should just be a return case of some sort. But that's a strange one. But anyway, any positive or negative feedback subsequently left by the buyer will replace the automatic positive feedback. So I am starting to wonder whether people, or some sort of dodgy people, will probably use this as a way of blackmail. Like, not so much blackmail, but like, I want a partial refund. Wouldn't want your automatic feedback to be overwritten with a negative now, would we? Something along them lines. I can see that happening now. But anyway, the goods that are going to come out of this are going to outweigh any of those stupid people. But it says, by reinforcing the right reliability and quality service you provide, automated positive feedback ensures your effort and are recognized and reflected in your profile. Keep an eye on your profile for late April to see automatic feedback in action. Changes to feedback removal. Interesting. So they've done some changes here as well. I've not read this, like I said. We value accurate seller feedback and are committed to ensuring it reflects true service quality. I'm just going to say that it's not going to matter as much if you're getting 3 times as much positive as you were before. You're not going to stress as much when you do get a negative. But anyway, we'll carry on. To better align with global regulations, we're making 2 changes to our policy around feedback removal. From April the 23rd, we'll no longer automatically remove feedback in the following 2 scenarios. That's not great, is it? The item was returned used or damaged and the seller deducted an amount from the refund. Wait, what? To better align with global regulations, we're making 2 changes, blah, 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 blah. From April 23rd, we will no longer automatically remove feedback. The item was returned, used, or damaged. Okay, I understand that one. If they've left a negative, but they've used the item or damaged it, I get that. But the seller deducted an amount from the refund. Why would they automatically remove a negative if I've done a partial refund? And that's also not what happens, because I've done a 50% or a 30% deduction before, and that didn't remove any negative for me. That's strange. Maybe I'm wrong, but that sounds a bit weird. Let me know in the comments if you understand that a little bit better. The seller offers free returns, handled the return, and issued a refund. Well, I didn't know that. If you had free returns and you offered the return, you accepted the return, and you refunded them straight away, they would remove the negative. That's interesting. I didn't know that was a thing. But I never offered free... Hang on a minute. That's free returns, not free postage. Sorry, I read it outright, but I read it in my brain wrong. Sorry, I have dyslexia. The seller offer free returns. I do. Handled the return. I do. And issued a refund. I always do. My negatives never get removed. I don't know what they're talking about here. Honestly, this makes no sense. You can still request a feedback review as it may qualify for removal under the numerous scenarios outlined in our feedback policy. 9 times out of 10, they don't want to listen. Even if they fit into one of those categories, there's always a way for them to say it doesn't. We'll continue to remove neutral or negative feedbacks in many instances with over 30 specific reasons detailed in our policy. For example, feedback that is harmful, results from extortion, they don't listen to that one, by the way, I've had this before, or involves issues that were correctly disclosed in the listing will be removed. That's good to know. If they're like, oh, negative review because the wheel's missing, but it says in the title the wheel's missing and in the description the wheel's missing, they will remove that feedback. That is good. As it should be, obviously. If you've sold something correctly and they've just not read the thing, then that's their fault. But with the extortion one, there used to be one on here, I don't know whether it still is, but it would say if they're using feedback as a way of pressuring for a refund or some sort of partial amount of money back, then that would also be removed. However, I've had a clear-cut case where someone has quite clearly said in messages, if you do not do A, B and C and give me this amount of money back, you will be receiving a negative feedback. And they obviously left the negative feedback because I didn't crumble to their demands. Obviously there was nothing wrong with the item, they were just, you know, being one of those customers, and eBay refused to remove that negative. That negative was on there for a year. It obviously fell off after 12 months, but yeah, they just outright refused. I said, have you read the messages? Yes, we've read the messages. Why are you not following your own terms of service? Sorry, there's nothing we can do, they said. And this was back before you had to like put in a removal on the computer. You could just phone up and do it. So it was like straight on the phone to a customer service rep. I think it went off to a manager as well. And the manager just said, look, my customer service has done its job. Like, I'm not going to talk to you, basically. And that was that. And I had that negative on there for a year. So some of the times they say we're going to do this and we're going to do that and they don't. But 9 times out of 10, they're pretty good. So I'll give them that. Right, providing free returns demonstrates strong seller commitment and boosts buyer confidence. So, okay. But it doesn't necessarily mean every buyer experience was ideal. Our changes help feedback remain an accurate reflection of the overall transaction. Okay, I do understand their point there, right? If I'm selling a can of Coke, for example, this is empty, unfortunately, I'm quite thirsty, and the customer's not happy, you offer free returns, you do the return, you give them their money back. That doesn't still mean that they haven't been unhappy with the item. Let's say, for example, the can of Coke arrives like this. They get to return it, they get their money back, but they should technically still be able to leave a negative for this situation, if that is how it arrived. So I do understand eBay's point on this one. Even if you're offering like a easy return situation, it doesn't mean that their issue with the item is invalid. So I do understand that. That makes sense to me. We remain committed to fair and transparent feedback systems that benefit both buyers and sellers. We're excited to introduce automated feedback to acknowledge your great service, and we're here to assist if feedback doesn't adhere to our policy. So let's hope this works more than the automatic offer system, because that doesn't work. Yeah, so that is good. I think the date was April 23rd and it is currently the 5th. So what's that, 18 days? So we've got 2 and a bit weeks, and all of our feedback ratings should fly up. Now I presume it is any sales after that date will be included, and it's not going to backdate anything, probably because the system doesn't hold those records, but it might be able to backdate 90 days. It seems to keep records for 90 days, so maybe it will do that. That would be great, because in the last 90 days I've sold 500 items, and I've only received, let's actually check my percent. So in the last 90 days, I have sold 500 items. And in the last 30 days, I received 51 positive reviews. So times that by 3 to match the 90 days is 150. So That would be, what is that? Is that 30%? 150 out of 500? I think so. Is that right? 30%? So yeah, about 30% of my sales in the last 90 days have resulted in a positive, which was the percent that I quoted at the beginning, I believe. So that is good. So technically I will gain 350 going forward every 90 days if I stayed at 500 sales in 90 days. But obviously this is the beginning of the year, those sales will go up. I think that goes up to maybe about 700-800 every 90 days going forward at this point of the year. Obviously the economy is a little bit mashed right now, so that might not go up as high as maybe last year. I'm fully expecting maybe a 5% drop off if everything stays the same this year, and that's what I'm accounting for. So anything better than that will be great. But yeah, this is going to significantly help a lot of people, especially me. I'm currently sat on 97.9% positive, which sounds bad, but when you look at it, it's 13 negatives. I got one the other day actually for some stupid reason. Basically I sold a Warhammer box and it was 99% complete. There was like 2 things missing in it, which I pointed out, by the way. And it just happened to be like the main piece in the box that was missing. Obviously someone's taken it. But that was all laid out in the listing, for example. So I might be able to actually get this removed, listening to what it said before about this. But they said to say this is 90% complete, I don't think this is appropriate when the Goblin King is missing. So basically their argument was the most expensive piece was missing, but I told them that was missing and the price reflected it. This is like a £300 box and they got it for I think £60. So, you know, it's annoying, but it is what it is. I didn't even bother trying to get that removed, to be honest. But now I've read that thing, I might apply, because that only came in about a week or so ago. But yeah, I'm sat on 600 positives in the last year, the last 12 months, because a load have fallen off. Obviously it's a rolling 12 months, right? And 13 negatives. So that percent is just quite bad at the moment. But once April, May, June, like the busy months come in, loads more feedbacks will come in and it will shrink down that percent and it will go back up. But especially with this coming in, it's going to be an extra 3 times the amount. So if it's 50 now, it's going to be like 150, 200 a month positives coming in if all of my things arrive on time. So maybe I'll start shipping day 2. So this might be the new meta. I'm calling the new meta now, okay? So the way the eBay system works, it takes your dispatch time and it adds 3 days on, I think, for postage. It might be a little bit different depending on which courier you are selecting. So that gives me 6 days to get the item to a customer on time, under that automatic feedback policy. If I leave it on 3 days, and that gives me another 3 days to get it to them, but I ship on day 2 and not day 3, that gives me an extra 1 day buffer to get it there on time, which I think maybe the difference between a positive automatic and not getting one at all. So I think eBay inadvertently, when people catch on to this, might be putting their dispatch times up a day. Because if you can add an extra day to your dispatch and guarantee that you're going to get a positive, then why wouldn't you do that? If I have my thing set to 2 days and I'm shipping it after 2 days and then it's 1 day late because of the courier and I'm not going to get my positive feedback because of that, would it not just be better to have 3 days dispatch and make sure I dispatch on day 2? I don't know. That's just food for thought, and that's just something that might be worth looking into. I don't know if that's how that system's going to work. I don't know how they're going to be tracking the did it arrive on time situation or not. But anyway, I have been talking for nearly 20 minutes, and if you're still watching this video, thank you so much, because you've just listened to me blabber on about an update on eBay for 20 minutes. I'm sorry I wasted your time. But yeah, that is a very good update. And if this all goes to plan, this could help a lot of people, especially myself. So I'm very happy with that. Right, have a good weekend, everybody. I've got to crack on because I've got the rest of my parcels from yesterday's video to pack and ship. I only got yesterday's ones out, but none of these need to go out technically till Monday, so I am actually going to be getting these out way ahead of schedule, which is fantastic and great. So yeah, thank you everybody. I appreciate you watching so far into the video. Please do drop a like and subscribe. Comment banana in the comments if you got this far, so I know who got to the end. And yeah, like, subscribe, join the Discord. I'll see you on Sunday for the car boot video. Take care, goodbye, have a good one.